Fast, focused, and fearless. Here's everything you need to know as you jumpstart your day. I'm Pauline Verzosa. U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin flew here to sign a deal that will strengthen the sharing of classified military information between the U.S. and the Philippines. Mobile journalist Julie Baiza has that report.
The Philippines and the United States signed a deal on sharing classified military information. The General Security of Military Information Agreement was signed by Defense Secretary Gibo Teodoro and U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin. During Austin's courtesy call with President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. in Malacanang yesterday, PBBM noted that the signing of the deal is an important step for the continued interoperability of the two militaries. He also emphasized the importance of EDCA sites in the country during calamities.
They serve the staging areas, actually, for way before when we know that the storm is coming. We pre-position as many assets, material as we can, as close as possible, so as not to damage the actual resources that we have. And the EDCA sites have become the staging area because right after the storm, many areas can only be reached by helicopter. And many roads closed because of landslides, and therefore even the main capital or provinces can only be reached by aircraft.
The chief executive added that EDCA sites has been extremely useful in the face of the effects of climate change. For his part, Austin said that they are glad to play the part in helping Filipinos in times of crisis.
You mentioned the EDCA sites. It was your vision a while back that these sites could be used to do exactly what you have described, repositioning supplies, and food and other urgent elements, other critical elements in times of urgent need. And it would enable us to serve the Filipino people much faster and much more efficiently. And that your vision has come true.
The U.S. Defense Chief also offered prayers for the victims of the 6 typhoons that hit the country. An additional humanitarian aid will also be provided by the United States.
Mr. President, I've authorized U.S. troops to help Philippine forces provide life-saving aid to the Filipino people. And the U.S. has also secured another $1 million in urgent humanitarian aid, and that will enhance the work of USAID and the World Food Program. And that's in addition to the nearly 100,000 pounds of supplies that we delivered after Typhoon Julian.
Mobile journalist Julie Baiza, We Are One News.
Philippine Public Safety College fellow Aaron Rabena believes that the country's interest in acquiring advanced military equipment is driven by concerns over maritime domain security. Here's an excerpt from his interview on The Big Story.
There's a lot of big words in there, to be honest. I know it's meant to facilitate information sharing, classified information sharing between the two countries. But in practice, what does that bring us?
Yeah, so with the signing of this GSOMIA, I think the Philippines-U.S. defense cooperation has just reached a higher level and puts basically the Philippines on the plane of other U.S. allies like Japan and South Korea, with which the U.S. also has GSOMIAs. And so what this agreement means is that the alliance cooperation will involve more highly sensitive information. And so therefore, more trust is required in safeguarding this information. And so this is not just about the usual maritime domain awareness that we often hear about, but this is about information necessary for interoperability. And so therefore that needs to be safeguarded, specifically advanced technologies, sophisticated battle and war plans, and types of military assets, and even types of joint and combined operations.
News broke also today, Professor Aaron, that U.S. President Joe Biden is allowing the use of long-range missiles by Ukraine. Specific information that has neither been confirmed nor denied by President Zelensky. It does feel that the Biden administration is sort of cramming, all that they intend to do in this region of the world and also over there in Ukraine. What do you think they're trying to do here? This is the fourth high-level visit from the United States government.
Yes, so I think that implies that they're trying to do everything that they've got before they leave office. So that's why they allowed, allegedly, the Ukrainians to do so. But then, of course, the Russians will not be taking that sitting down, and they are likely to retaliate as well. In fact, they already they already mentioned that they could use nuclear weapons if that happens.
Right. Well, that's exactly what I wanted to ask you, Professor Aaron, because if you expect China to react badly to the U.S., allowing the Ukraine to launch long-range missiles into Russia, then, of course, this is not as bad as that. We're not talking about specific weapons yet, but are we expecting China to negatively react to this again?
Yeah, for sure, because China and Russia are very close strategic partners. And if I may relate this to the context of the Philippines, we recently just accommodated the Typhoon mid-range missile system, right? And I think GSOMIA applies to this because the Typhoon missile system is critical for modern warfare.
U.S. President Joe Biden has allowed Ukraine to use its long-range missiles to strike targets inside Russia. Sources told various media outlets that the Biden administration has now permitted Kyiv to use the Attack-M's missiles. These have the range of about 190 miles, a far longer target compared to the U.S.-developed light multiple rocket launcher HIMARS. Now, HIMARS has only the range of 50 miles. The U.S. only allowed Ukraine to use HIMARS because firing Attack-M's missiles can potentially escalate the conflict with Russia. The U.S. has yet to confirm these reports. Meantime, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un renewed his call for a limitless expansion of his military nuclear program to counter U.S.-led threats. This was Kim's first direct criticism toward Washington since Donald Trump's win in the U.S. presidential election. He condemned the U.S. for updating its nuclear deterrence strategies with South Korea and solidifying three-way military cooperation involving Japan. He also criticized Washington over its support of Ukraine, insisting that the U.S. and its Western allies were using Ukraine as their shock troops. Let's now take a quick look at today's other headlines. In the Philippine Star, administration lawmakers offer a 1 million peso bounty for anyone who can provide information leading to the identification of a certain Mary Grace Piatos. Now, that name appears on acknowledgement receipts submitted by the Office of the Vice President. And in business world, the Philippines' gross domestic product is likely to expand slower than the government's target until 2025, according to Citigroup. It cut its GDP growth forecast for the Philippines to 5.8% this year, but kept its 6% growth forecast for 2025. Private individuals and candidate supporters are now exempted from registering their social media accounts in the COMELEC. The electoral body has amended the guidelines that officially removed private individuals from declaring their accounts. Under the amended guidelines, only official social media accounts of candidates and political parties must register to the poll body. The policy revision came after the Makabayan Bloc's appeal that the guidelines were overboard to the rights of social media users. They said that social media accounts of private individuals might also be blocked under COMELEC's broad definition of disinformation. Majority of the PBA teams are already ready with their imports for the upcoming PBA Commissioner's Cup on November 27. The TNT Tropang Giga retained their commitment to two-time PBA Best Import Ronde Hollis Jefferson. Meanwhile, three-time best import Justin Brownlee will stay with Barangay Ginebra, while Quincy Miller will be playing for the defending champions of the conference, the San Miguel Beermen. Meantime, George King will go for Blackwater, and Ricardo Ratliff will be playing for the Magnolia Hotshots. Meanwhile, the NLEX Road Warriors are scrambling to find a new import after NBA veteran Ed Davis had to leave for a family emergency in the U.S. And those are the top stories of the hour. Join us later at 9 a.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. I'm Pauline Verzosa. We are One News.